Assalamu alaikum, guys. So we were just talking about the 1031 exchange and needing my GPS and had to cut off. So, we were talking about how you could take an income producing asset, a business, and then, you could lower your income by, the government allows you to expense this asset over its useful life. So if the asset, say, is $1 million, and just for simplicity, let's say, its useful life is it ranges from 10 to 30 years. For example, let's take $100,000. Just again, very simple terms. So you could take that expense of 100K and reduce your income. Again, it's a very, very basic explanation, so you understand the concept. But when you go to dispose of this asset, you do have to recapture that depreciation. So when I sold this business that I told you about, I held for good 6-7 years. My tax bill was right under 100K. I said, my gosh, I don't want to have to pay that. So how do I, is there any way around it legally? I came across a concept called 1031 exchange, which if you do a like kind exchange, but you could take this, what I learned was I could take that and buy several more stores, 2-3 more stores, retail businesses, or one restaurant, 3 restaurants, a small apartment building, or quite a few homes that I could rent out that produce income. But there are strict guidelines, time constraints, with which you had to identify a replacement property and then to close on the deal. I think at the time it was about 45 days to identify a property, and then 100 or 90 days to close. I think you could get an extension on that, on the closing part, to 180 days. So again, you're under the gun to perform, and I didn't want to. So the lessons that I've learned, as I told you, what went right and what went, where I messed up. I should have been looking for a replacement property at the same time or before I marketed the business to sell. So I should have had 2-3 options picked out, and then selling the business and closing fairly quickly to meet the guidelines. So that was a very important piece. Since I didn't have that done, I didn't want to get into a wrong deal, trying to save on paying capital gains and picking the wrong project and overpaying for the asset, a wrong asset, and costing me much more in the long run. So, but the benefits are there. I ended up writing a check for 90 plus K. I think it was 92 to be exact, that year. And for that was and is a lot of money to me. That's the money that could have been producing income, that could have been working for me. Again, remember, this human body makes money and money makes money, if you invest it in the right assets. So that was a lesson learned. 1031 is a great, it's a great program. You really have to do your due diligence. And then I also learned at the time was I couldn't do the 1031 exchange after the fact, after the sale happened. It's early on, what I should have done is identify 2-3 replacement properties. Then you have to go out and find an intermediary, a middleman, who comes in and when the sale happens, the funds are transferred to the intermediary. When you buy the new asset at closing at the title company or the attorney's office, this intermediary transfer the funds to close on your new asset, your new property. So anyways, this was just overview. This by no means is advice of any sort, just telling you about my experience and what worked, what I learned in the process, and what you guys maybe it'll help you add value in your life in some sort. So anyways, kids, get a good education, setting yourself up to make a reasonable income, and then learning to be an investor, a business person. That's something that you owe to yourself. Anyways, that's all for now, guys. Assalamu alaikum. Love you guys.